Forever. Dog.
Rock-a-bye bye baby. This week on the podcast, A. Bates's Mother's Helper.
Welcome to Teen Creeps, the podcast that discusses YA pulp fiction. I'm one of your hosts, Lindsay Kaitai.
I'm another one of your hosts, Kelly Nugent. And today we are joined by a very special guest. You may know her from Done, the Forever Dog podcast. From UCB, we have comedian Dara Katz here.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for reading a book.
Honestly, it took effort.
That's why we pay our guests.
Oh my God.
And otherwise, they will not do it. We cannot get
Because
people on
we
the show.
respect your time.
People were like, what do you plan on doing on the plane ride? And I was like, I have to actually read a book instead of just watch Outlander. So,
Oh, I'm not caught up.
oh, okay. Me neither. I was like, then I won't tell you anything, but I haven't seen any of the season. So,
We're all safe.
We're all safe. So did you read these types of books in high school at all or middle school?
probably middle school. Like, I know you talk a lot about R.L. Stine on this pod, but I like that he was kind of God. Like, and that section in Borders and Barnes & Noble, like, you just look at all the titles. And me and my friends would do this joke. We would be like, say cheese and die. But then if you say cheese, you had to die. Do you remember that book?
Yeah.
So that was like a big part of my childhood. But this one actually reminded me of the Face on the Milk Carton. Do you
Caroline B.
remember?
Cooney.
Oh.
That might be like not as YA. I don't know.
No,
Might
yeah,
be more
it's-
adult. I don't
yeah,
know.
We've actually covered that.
Yeah,
Oh,
we covered
okay.
that book. And I feel like it had a similar, like, the main character was more fleshed out and thoughtful
Relatable.
and relatable. Because a lot of times in these books,
They do not know how teenage girls
she's just
behave.
like pretty.
Yeah, I don't know what this girl looked like.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Good for this book. They're usually so specific. It's like,
Dude, I don't even know
thought
what.
about how she looked.
Well, her tan.
She
We
had
know she
brown
was tan.
hair.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
she had
that's
tan
true.
legs.
That's true.
She only tanned her legs.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, usually it's like, if I had to think about what I'd looked like, sure, I'd say I have auburn hair and I'm really beautiful to some, although I don't see it. And my eyes are green. And like,
Yeah,
it's just
for some reason in a lot of they don't know how to describe the main character if it's from her point of view, and so she just like thinks about what she looks like for a second.
just,
it's very
just on a
weird.
random morning.
She's like,
I guess I have freckles.
That could have been from one of these books.
I'm on the bus. I'm just gonna take a second to think about the fact that I have freckles.
Yeah.
I guess I also, these books seem so big, like, because I've always been kind of a slow reader. And like, I've always been scared of books, even though like I'm an English major. So I'm a great like skimmer. But I can't believe how fast it was to read this now. And back in the day, like I would have been like going through it so slowly.
Yeah. I mean, this book especially was such a breeze. I flew through
Yeah,
this
because
book.
it really sucked me
There
in.
were chapters that were one paragraph.
I loved how short some of those chapters were. I was like, yay, keep going.
It did feel like I made more progress at those moments. It was like I already finished 2 chapters just then.
Yeah, true.
Tricked my dumb brain.
So, okay, let me read the back of this book.
Okay.
Her dream job is about to turn into a nightmare. Becky can hardly believe it. Spending the summer as a mother's helper on a romantic island, earning money for college and working on her tan at the same time. What a lucky break. Too bad. Becky's luck is about to change. Soon, the accidents will start happening, and the phone calls. Suddenly, Becky's island paradise will seem more like a prison. Becky will be plenty scared then. Mother's helper is going to need all the help she can get. Well,
Book is so much better than that.
that was really
Synopsis,
embarrassing, though. That synopsis was bad.
I also like, I love the book, but it also made me feel like I could write a book.
No,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, for
I was
sure.
like, oh, this can be done. Like, we can
Yeah.
do this.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
This is one of my favorites, though. What did you
Really?
think of it?
I mean, I loved.
I mean, I'll like elaborate in that we have to read one of these books
I know.
a week,
And
and
many
most
are
of them
bad.
are very bad. So when I was reading this, I was like, "Oh, this is a really good one."
I enjoyed this one, but I did have moments where I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
I loved, like, from the onset when you told me I was reading Mother's Helper, I was like, okay, this sounds like a psychosexual something, which is very, like, my wheelhouse. Like,
yes.
did I wish there was more sex in this? 1000%.
Sure.
There was
But
no
then
sex.
it's YA. There's YA, like, sex, right?
We just covered Heaven.
Well, that, like, is
Which is
that
why
even
VC
YA?
Which involved
Are you familiar
intense
with VC
amounts
Andrews?
of
No.
incest.
She's fucked
And-
up.
That's
mean,
kind of up my alley, though, in terms of, like, literature.
Did you
Pick
read
up a VC Andrews
seriously?
fan.
Like
Yeah.
seriously, you'll love it. Okay. Do you like really hot dads?
Yes.
Do you
Like,
like?
I wanted her to fuck the dad.
Yeah.
That we saw
okay.
at the end.
Yeah.
And do you like the really hot dads to be really fucked up
1000%.
and play like
yes.
sexual mind games with you?
do you
Okay.
like a brother that's like keeps telling the main character that she's like the most beautiful person in the world, and there's like intense sexual chemistry between the main character and her own brother, and they are twins but not.
Yeah.
They're twin. What do you mean, but not?
So they thought they were twins, but they're not. They're half brother and half
So
sister.
it's like Marsha and Greg. It's fine. They can
Because
fuck.
it's only half. That's the conclusion we came
Yeah.
to as well. Are you okay with intense sexual trauma?
That's a tough one.
It's tough. It's tough.
As soon as I started to say more things, I was like, I really hesitated for a long time because like everything that we could say after that is so fucked up.
No.
She
okay,
is like
here's one.
gothic, crazy trigger lady all the time.
Like the whole thing, it is a lot of very
like-
upsetting.
Anything where you would say trigger warning, you would apply to her books.
Like it should be like by trigger warning.
Exactly.
Got it.
That should be her actual name.
I say if you want like the most intense, like fucked up psychosexual books,
I'm listening.
Flowers in the Attic is pretty good.
Yeah. I would
Um,
say Flowers in the Attic. It's also
Is that a
less
Holocaust
traumatic.
No.
No, although I can see how that confusion would come about because they are prisoners in the attic.
Got it. Okay.
They are prisoners in an attic, but they're children that are being held there by their mother who wants to pretend she doesn't have children so that she can convince her father to put her in her will because they're children of incest, and he has disowned her because he hates the fact that she fucked her own uncle.
Also, they're slowly trying to kill the children by putting arsenic on their cookies.
Yeah,
Also,
this
the
is
brother
a
and
story I
sister
really
fuck.
want to
Okay,
read.
So yeah,
I'm down.
Delve into Flowers in the Attic if you're looking to read more of a heavy hitter than My Sweet Audrina.
Oh,
Got it.
right. My Sweet Audrina has more literally throwing a miscarriage
the-
at your mom.
The remnants of your miscarriage
at your mom. A character literally does that.
Sorry, I'm just taking.
Yeah. No,
in.
take your time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's less psychosexual and more
More horrifying.
Yeah, more psycho.
Yeah.
It's like
Actually, there isn't that much. Is there? Okay, I might be.
there's art.
Is there weird
on
sex
a
stuff in-
grave?
Oh, right. She fucks on a grave. I forgot about that. Forgot about that.
It's like a freaky, rapey.
I forgot.
mad sex scene on a grave.
I blocked
On
that from my mind.
her grave.
They had hate sex on what she thought was her own grave. Okay, I forgot about that.
I mean, been there. It's fine.
Like, who of us hasn't in our
Right.
teen years? Yeah.
so this did not have.
So anyway, it's not that.
This didn't have any sex in it at all.
Unfortunately, that's correct.
Unfortunately, when the name does sound very like mother.
Right. I was kind of like, okay, I hope she has daddy issues and something happens there.
Yes.
You know what I
One
mean?
can only hope.
Right. Anyway, go ahead.
I
yeah.
know. I totally agree about the dad, because when the dad came and like she had to save him from the gas explosion,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I don't know. I would have wanted a little something
They
more
could have
exciting.
fucked really quickly. Like,
You know what I would hope?
Just be a different book for 2 seconds and have them fuck.
Also, okay, the guy that was Cleve.
I'm sorry. That is
What
the
is that
worst
name?
name.
I can't. Cleve.
I kept being like, it has to be Clive, and this is one typo in the book, but it was Cleve.
Cleve.
Maybe it was Cleve.
Oh, Cleve.
That's
Better.
sounds French.
It could.
Hello, I'm Cleve.
Wham, Cleve.
Oui.
The other funny thing, like just like big things, is I thought for a while that they were on this like tropical island, but they're on this island off the coast of like Seattle.
They're in the Puget Sound.
Right. It's like not as fun.
No. When she was like a romantic, beautiful island, I was like,
Nevis, St. Bart. No.
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 Sandals.
A sandals resort.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was my main issue was that Becky should never have taken this babysitting job.
It's insane that, that's.
She didn't, like, so many things. She was like, wait, do I have time off? I never talked about that. And also, am I getting paid? Like, she didn't know how much she was getting paid.
Also, all she says, she's like, oh, I promise I won't talk about, what's the kid's name? Devin? I won't tell anyone about Devin. And I was like, what? Why? What do you mean you promise not? Like, she introduced the fact that it had to be a secret that they were there before she introduced the fact that there was a secret.
They did that a lot in the book.
They did that a lot. And then when she revealed like the reasoning that Mrs. Whatever, that mother
Nelson.
told her. Yeah, that Mrs. Mother told her.
Mrs. Mother.
That Mrs. Mother said.
Please.
So she's
Mrs.
like,
Mother was my mother.
she's
Call
like,
me Mrs.
She's like, oh, the reasoning that Mrs. Mother gave me was that it was a like totally normal story. Like there was a kidnapper.
Exactly.
And I was like, what? Why are you taking this job? If someone says, listen, there was like a kidnapper that tried to steal Devin?
Yeah, people were calling and threatening to kidnap Devin
Like
and hold
Patty
him for
Hearst style.
ransom.
Ah.
Like, I thought it was like this big like they were like big and corporate, whatever, and had a lot of money. And then these people were calling for a ransom. And then, like, already you don't take that job. That puts you in danger.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. She is
like, yeah, I'll help out.
17.
Yeah. And then later she's like, I realized now that she was telling me this story about her husband being crazy. Suddenly I'm in danger. I was like, yeah, day one you were.
You're always in danger.
Day one.
Also to kind of bounce off of what...
Kidnappers are not safe.
No, they're not. To build off of what you were saying when she's like, I don't know if I have time off. She was like, I don't know if I'm allowed to leave the house. I was like,
What?
Then why? Like, you need to just run away. You need to take that baby. You need to run away. There's something wrong with the mom, which, spoiler alert, there is. There's something very wrong with the mom.
Yes.
I side with the mom a little. Becky's judgment from the get-go is terrible. Like, she can't trust herself. Nothing makes sense. Nothing adds up. Like, when she meets Cleve, even she's like, he's weird, but like, I'll let him prove it to me until he's weird, which is like a terrible way to go about trusting people.
Yeah.
But also she's like, this guy is so weird. And I was like, what has he done that's so weird? He hasn't done anything that weird.
He's like asking her, he asks her, right? He's like asking her like kind of like vague questions, right? Because he's like, what is going on with the house? But she does say that he's being very weird. I don't know.
It's like he hasn't really done anything.
I mean,
Like,
he was like kind of spying on her a little.
Was he the
she,
one
like,
whistling?
assumes
Who
that.
was whistling?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We
what
never
the
find out
fuck?
who was whistling.
Wait, we never
That
find out who
never
was
got
whistling.
addressed. And the fact that he was whistling what apparently Devin's dad whistles all,
All
the
the
time.
time.
Wait,
Oh, yeah.
what?
That got totally forgotten.
Because, okay, guys, there's a scene where Mrs. Mother's like, you got to go outside because,
A washer and dryer has arrived.
and we can't let anyone know that you're here or that Devin's here. So you
Yeah.
go hide in the woods. And she's like, great.
She's like, great, on it.
She goes and hides in the woods. And then
With a baby.
with a baby. And then she's like, yay, I'm going to like let you play in the mud because your mom doesn't let you do that. And then she hears someone whistling and the baby's like, Dada? And she's like, oh, what? The dad's here. Oh my God. Oh my God. So then she gets the baby and she hides like in a river. And then
She hides in a river.
and then he leaves and then she comes back and then she sees Cleve later, but he's not whistling and he's whittling. But so they're never like he was the one whistling. Because if he was whistling, why is he whistling the same song that dad whistles?
I think the trees were whispering or whistling that.
I think it's just something the editors were like, no one cares. We'll drop this.
Little
thread.
did they know.
Yeah. Well, little did they know 20 years later, we'd be on their asses. Yeah, I think some storylines were a little dropped. I mean, none of these people were good at what they were doing. I don't think the writer was great at what she was doing. Like, if you're kidnapping a child, maybe don't like order a washer and dryer to have delivered, you know.
Yeah. I think you just
My big question is, why wasn't there already one there? And how long did she have to wash their clothes in a sink?
I know when she was like, oh, it's so nice to have machines to wash the clothes. I was like,
the fuck?
you've been having like a washboard this whole time. Also,
Oh, here's the song. Have you guys ever heard the song that was being whistled, Gypsy Rover?
I don't know if I've heard it.
I don't think I have.
I'm going to play
I was just
it.
about to
Okay,
say.
good.
Whoa, The Whistling Gypsy Rover by the Clancy Brothers. Are these white nationalists?
Ooh.
Let's see. Oh God, thanks. This is an ad. Hold on.
Yeah, this had to be
This would
Cleve.
terrify me.
Gypsy rover, come over the hill, down through the valley so shady. You whistle and you sang till the
When was this book set? Is this like in Appalachia in the 1900, like 1800s?
91. Did it say when that song was written?
I think
that's why it has
that's
to
a
be
folk
Cleve.
song. It
Because
has to be
Cleve has
Cleve.
never left the island. He only knows like folk songs. The dad
Yeah.
was like this wealthy guy, right?
Right.
No,
He's
Cleve
a
was
continental man.
In
Intercontinental.
Denver.
Oh wait,
going to
remember when
school
Cleve
half
at the end was
year.
like, by the way, I'm rich.
By the way, I own this place.
He's like, I guess I inherited it because my uncle just died.
Yeah.
I guess you could call me kind of rich. And I was like, what is your story that you were raised by two uncles?
I know, it's like, that's what we should read.
Who shared custody of you. That's a crazy setup.
I could not believe that she dropped that. Like he says that and she's like, oh, that's why he was asking if I was raised by my aunt because like he was raised by two uncles who shared custody. I was like, no, that's not why.
But it's such a teen point of view to like all of that, you know? Like it's so, like it's not seeing the bigger picture.
It's just oversimplifying and being like, how can I make it about me?
And even the writer is writing in such a like that team perspective when the mom's like, he burned my prom dress as like the reason he was abusive. It's like that can't be the reason.
No.
Like in anyone's story.
It also like
He burned my prom dress. He burned my prom dress. And that's when I knew I had to take my son away.
this, now, did you notice that the flip of it is what really happened is that she burned his tux from prom, which he kept in the home.
This is something I did not think about.
That just makes me like it's so
Red flag.
teen. I just
Yeah.
But also, how weird is it that like I read it and I went, yeah, you kept her prom
Yeah,
dress.
I just
That's
was
totally normal.
I was just going. But yeah, I mean, it is a teen thing where you'd be like, oh yeah, I mean, you'd keep that because it's prom.
I kept it for a while.
But at Tux,
tuxes
Oh, I
they
kept-
rented, didn't
Yeah,
they?
you get it from Friar
I think
Tuck's.
that's why. Yeah, you go to Friar Tuck's.
Ugh, prom dresses are so much cooler now.
they are a lot better.
What these little gals are wearing to prom. I'm
What
like,
these little
we were
gals.
like floor length weird dresses.
I just remember too, like imagining what I would look like in my prom dress, and then getting it and wearing it and being like, oh, that's
Yeah.
different.
Me and my three best friends at the time didn't like talk about what we were wearing beforehand. But when I arrived to my friend Jill's house to take photos, they were all wearing like very light spaghetti strap pastels. And all of them had their blonde hair up and updos. And I arrived with my brown long hair just straight and down and wearing like a strapless dark purple velvet gown. And I was like, one of these things is not like,
like,
the other.
Mother's ready
One
to go
of
to
these
prom.
things just doesn't belong.
Moody.
Yeah, I wore like I remember for prom my senior year, I wore a dress that was
Oh,
like,
you went multiple years.
yeah, I went,
That must have been really cool.
I was,
Oh, just cool to be asked, I guess.
I remember I wore a, it was like a very ugly dress, but it was like one of those where it was like, remember there was a time when like very ugly patterns were cool. Do you remember that? Like, and chartreuse happening a lot.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Was it BCBG? That was happening there. Like
no,
I just
think
remember.
it was happening there, and I remember I wanted to get my shoes from BCBG, but this is the. I think I've shared this story on the show before. This was the Macy's incident with Mother, where
yes.
I went to Macy's. We found some shoes. They were BCBG. Someone had stuck a $35 sticker on them. So my mom goes, "Oh, well, they're $35." She like takes them to the counter, and she's like, all right, $35. And the salesperson's like, I can't give these two for $35. They're not $35. My mom starts screaming about how the customer's always right. And it's the principle of it all. And I was like, Mom, I don't even want them. I'm just like, can we just go? So I storm off. She slaps me in the face in the middle of a Macy's.
No.
And then I start crying. And then she just leaves. It was awful.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's not a fun story.
No.
No.
But
Did you get the shoes?
I didn't get the shoes. I got different shoes.
But the shoes, Kelly.
I did not. I got different shoes. And I mean, it was awful. I went with a guy that, remember how we were talking about where when you're in high school, the last thing you want is for somebody to know that you like them?
even if they like you back.
Yeah. And
Have
then-
you had that feeling?
I
did you have
was
that feeling?
consumed with that feeling.
Yes.
Which made me like a wall.
Yeah.
Like you could not talk to me in high school
Yeah.
if you were a boy.
So
Same.
I went with a guy that I was friends with, and we like decided to go as friends. But I liked him, and he liked me, and we just didn't dance together, and didn't like. It was awful. We
This
just
is my
didn't
prom
hang out.
experience.
It was horrible,
That was my prom experience. What the fuck? Stop
Awful.
stealing my life.
awful.
Wow. That was exactly my prom experience. Crazy.
And I just like was like, I'm cool with it. I'm such a cool girl. I'm so cool with it. But like in my head, I was like, what the fuck? Why isn't he dancing with me?
Yeah.
Sucks.
I barely remember the actual like dance part because
Mhm.
like the whole thing was
Me
like
neither.
everyone did these crazy things after, and I like just hated. All my friends were with other people, and I was with this guy who was actually my friend's ex-boyfriend, but I was like the last person ever to be asked to prom. So I was like, sure, like I'll go with you because like you're my only date. And like we just also did not talk, and I like called my parents to pick me up. I was like, get my ass home now. I hate it here.
What's weird is my prom date was also my best or really good friend's ex-boyfriend.
What the fuck is wrong with
What
us?
is wrong with teenagers?
It's really bad.
Date outside your circle.
I think also like just someone needed to tell me like it's okay to want things and to not want things. Like
Yes.
it's okay to just have feelings. But
Yeah.
instead I was like, no, I'm like supposed to like want to go to I don't know. It was just very
There were some girls that were really good at that, like what you just described. And I was like, I just couldn't fathom that at that age.
they were like
Yeah.
cool, but I couldn't figure out why.
Mhm.
I was like, they're so cool.
My
And it's
friend
literally
Jen-
just because they do what they want.
Yeah.
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 And they just assume that people will like them
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
they get liked.
Yeah.
My friend Jen had something like 5 boyfriends in the time that
What?
we were friends over 3 years, like 5, 6 boyfriends. And it would be like 2 months at a time and then they'd stop dating and she'd see other people. But it would always be like there was another guy interested in her right away.
What?
Yeah.
Lucky bitch.
And she would meet them like at shows. It wasn't even all guys we
Oh,
went
like
to
in
school
adult
with.
life?
Not adult life,
Oh.
but like
What do you mean shows?
underage shows
I wasn't going to those. That is very cool. That's too cool for me. I was
Yeah.
not going to those.
I wasn't going to those. I was
she
only
was
going
go-
because she was going. But
Oh,
she
man.
went first and she just like met this guy. That was her prom date. And then that guy's friend was my friend Jill's prom date. And then my prom date was Jen's ex-boyfriend Dustin.
Oh my god.
And then
it's so
other
incestuous.
Jen. So there's Jen A, Jen B, and Jill. And so
Were
they
they
all
all the
had J
blondes?
names and they're all blonde and they all wore pastel dresses without talking about it. And Jen A was going with Dan and Jill was going with Dan's best friend, Alan. And I was going with Dustin, who is Jen A's ex. And Jen B was going with a guy that she met online
Whoa.
who was
Jen B's parents
over
were
18
lax.
and in the military.
Whoa.
Yeah. We did not like Arthur at all.
Oh, Art.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Jeez.
And then
he's
later I
serving.
dated Alan.
Do you remember?
Naughty.
You did? Nice girl.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember
great.
like being a teenager and there was like always like an older dude that would hang out at like dances and whatever or like get-togethers and you would just be like, that's a little weird. He's a lot older, but you never really thought about it until you were that guy's age and you were like,
Yeah.
what?
I actually didn't realize it until right now. But we hung out with these guys all through high school who like literally hated us and treated us like shit. And then one of these guys' older brothers who was like pretty older than us. And like I was a very like whatever age I was that age minus a couple of years at
Me
the
too.
time. And I just like I didn't think that much of it, but like he also treated us like shit, which is really weird.
It is weird.
Like, he was not in high school. He was like an adult.
Yeah.
Oof.
And I never say adult. I say adult.
He was an adult, though.
But there's a difference.
There is a difference.
You're an adult and you're an adult.
Ugh. I remember one of my friends started dating an adult because she was working at Aerobex.
What's that?
Oh, I'm sorry,
She was
not
working
Aerobex.
at Aerobex and dating an adult.
She's not working at Aerobex. She was working at,
Jamba Juice?
is it Quiznos? The hot
There is
subs.
such a thing as Quiznos, yes.
Hot bellies.
Quiznos. I think it was
Quiznos girls. They go through
it goes
the little
through the
oven thing.
Okay, so she worked at Quiznos, which
Is terrible.
not great. And then the manager was 35. I remember. I know.
God.
I know.
Oh my God,
Which
I'm
I'm just
scared.
like, so now thinking about that as we are,
Oh my God.
as we're living as we live. Can you imagine dating a high schooler? No.
Well, the guy who took the bloom off the rose, as it were,
Oh.
was 31 and I was 22. And when I turned 31, I went, ew, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Fuck that guy. I mean, it was
He
already
matured
like, fuck
later,
that
though.
guy.
He matured later in
He
life.
definitely did. Probably still
Men
hasn't.
mature later
And
than
then,
women.
Like, he was
'Cause we
dating a
let them. It's
19-year-old
bullshit.
after that, and he had a 9-year-old daughter. And also,
This is a psychosexual
he
thriller.
was not a good guy. He was gross. I don't know why I was seeing him. Self-hatred, I'm
Let's
sure.
call him on the show.
Yeah. Hey, Brian.
You know what? We've got a caller on the line. B-Dog.
Hey, Brian Stevenson, go fuck yourself.
Nice full name.
Yeah, full name.
Decide if you want to bleep that later.
No, we will die on this hill. When I was 22, I was not dating him. I remember I was like in my I'm a free woman, whatever. And so I was like, I'm fucking this guy. I'm not dating him, which was very 22-year-old me to say. And I remember he was 35 and we were hooking up. And then I walked by his, one of the rooms was a little girl's room. And I was like, and he's like, oh yeah, I have a daughter. And I was like, uh-oh.
Oh, man.
And I think she was 6 or something. So it was he had been a dad for a while and just it never came up until the 4th time we had hooked up.
He's like, it's
Wow.
just so awkward because you're so close in age. It was weird.
So I decided not to mention it.
It's just so awkward because you guys hang out together. So I just
You're her babysitter. Your mother's out there.
mother's
Wait, can we talk about?
segue.
Tell me if I'm moving too fast.
No, please.
The dolls.
Hey guys, wanted to take a quick break from the show to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Quip. Brush your teeth. Brush your teeth with a Quip on your teeth. Did I just rhyme teeth with teeth? Yes. Because I don't have time to come up with wonderful jingle jangles, because right now I'm thinking about perfect gifts. And when you think about perfect gifts, you probably don't think of an electric toothbrush. But the Quip electric toothbrush is one of the most gift-guided gifts of the season, and here is why. It's perfect for everyone that's got themselves a mouth. And it's something that they're going to use twice every day. Why does this make a perfect gift? It's practical. It's a subscription. It's a gift that keeps on giving. Brush heads get delivered every 3 months, and you can prepay for their refills for a year. Travel. It makes their holiday travels healthy and less of a headache. Warranty. The gift that lasts a lifetime and is covered for life. Returns. Love at their first brush. Extended returns if not. Please note that extended returns are available for purchases made November 23rd to December 23rd. And price. This looks like a big ticket tech gift, but it's got a stocking stuffer price. So you can be a little cheapy McCheap, but look like a baller McBall. Social proof. The most gift-guided gift of the season. And personal. There's a color to suit everyone on your lists. 4 sleek metallic handles, 2 poppy plastics, a red brush that gives back, and statement-making black brush. And if you gift a Quip, it shows that you're caring. You give the gift of a healthy smile, better dental visits. They'll think of you every morning and night. Buy love from your loved ones. I love Quip because it's convenient. It comes right to my door. I don't have to think about replacing my brush heads. It works great. It's cute. It's a statement brush. It cleans my teeth and gums super clean. I'm super happy with it. All of those reasons are why I love Quip and why they have over 5,000 verified 5-star reviews. And this thing is starting at just $25, boo-boo. If you go to getquip.com/teencreeps right now, you get your first refill pack for free with a Quip electric toothbrush. But you don't have to tell your giftee that. That's your first refill pack free at GETQUIP.com/teencreeps. And now back to the show.
Okay, we have to talk about the dolls. We have to talk about the dolls.
It's crazy. What an insane addition to the story.
She brought the dolls to plant the dolls as like an evil trick against Becky.
Okay, here's a very quick rundown.
I need this
of
too.
the plot just to get some context on the dolls. So it's not true that somebody is threatening to kidnap Devin.
Nor is it true.
Nor is it true, as Mrs. Nelson tells Becky later when Becky's like, none of this is adding up. She's like, okay, actually, I'm on the run from my husband who is like terribly abusive and jealous. And one time my mother shipped me some dolls from my childhood and he smashed them all to bits. And that's when I knew I had to get out of there. And Becky's like, okay, I'll protect you. No problem. I'm a hero.
Yeah, and then she goes straight to hero. Zero to hero.
Yeah. She finds out that no, Mrs. Nelson kidnapped Devin from her ex-husband and his new wife.
They were divorced 8 years ago.
Yes. And skedaddled. And she was the one who was abusive and crazy. And so she kidnapped Devin.
Who's not her son.
Who's not her son. Because she's like, I deserve him, not him.
Also, that being said, she has in her escape to this beautiful, idyllic,
this romantic island
in the Puget Sound.
This cloudy, gloomy, chilly island.
Well, remember, she's like, it's
She's working
sunny.
on her tan.
She's like, it's sunny because it's foggy in Seattle, but it's sunny here. And I was like, what is this island?
How are they not in Jamaica? Like, I was like,
Just be in Jamaica already.
That reveal that they're like in the northeast, northwest, wherever they are. I'm like that, and they're whale watching.
Oh, God.
It was crazy.
When they were, oh, God. Also, okay. The other thing that they don't pick up is the fact that she just falls off of a boat.
We have to talk about that.
She falls off a boat and then thinks she's going to get eaten by a whale.
It's like she's so stupid.
Because she's like, did he push me?
Lost it.
It's a comedic sketch. Like, he turns around to tell her something and she's like, ah! And then just falls over like as if she's like a 2x4 into the water. And it's like, I hope a whale doesn't eat me.
She's like being dragged down by her clothes. And she's like, a whale's coming right now, but it's the boat and a life raft.
Oh, God. And also, like, before that, she's like, wow, look at these creatures. They're so large and majestic. I mean, it wouldn't be so bad to be eaten by a whale. And I was like, Becky, what?
Chill.
I was like, you need to get off this boat. This is not good for you.
Let me find that part because I did actually think that Becky and Cleve were pretty funny together and certainly have more
They had
honest
chemistry. They did.
than at least 99% of the other books we read.
Well, most of the guys are just like hot and kind of like a stalker.
And
Yes.
he is just a stalker.
He's just a stalker.
We
He's
don't know what he
also
looks
hot,
like.
but he's also nice.
Well, she's like, he's weird and gives me the creeps, but I guess I'll give him a chance.
Well, he really likes whales. And so when he was like getting lost in the whale facts, she was like, oh my God, are we going to fuck on this boat?
She was such a like tween. She's like, you're weird. And he's like, why? And she's like, because you are.
She's like, you're like so
weird.
random.
What have you been smoking and can I have some?
and he's just
Like, I don't know if you're nicely weird or weirdly
Oh
nice.
God, when she says that, she's like nicely weird or weirdly nice. And then
I don't know what that means, Becky.
and also he's just being so like, you can tell he's like cinematizing himself. He's like, these whales, you know, they're it's been said that humans often will throw each other off, you know, they'll kill each other if they don't like each other.
I often wonder why some
Yep.
animals stay in family packs, Cleve said, looking thoughtful. Anthropologists argue that it isn't normal behavior, even for people. They say the older tribes of people traded children. Like if they were going on a trip and didn't want to take a baby, they'd trade for an older child. The Romans just dumped babies they didn't want and killed off inconvenient or tiresome relatives left and right. Family ties didn't mean much of anything. It's been said people probably didn't mate for life in a lot of cultures, and that might have been a good thing for the gene pool or something. So it surprises me to see animals stick together. Sometimes I think they're more advanced than we are.
I'm
that
picturing
has nothing to do
What
with
are
that.
you
Doesn't like
talking about?
reflect on the actual storyline like you think it would. Like it
Yeah, I was
really
like,
is just
oh,
a
what is this?
fact.
Like, is
It's
this
just
like a
meditation on
metaphor?
whales.
Yeah. I'm just
It's
picturing
like
it's like
whales are so romantic because they like don't trade their young like the Romans did.
but I'm picturing it's like super windy and she's like, what?
What'd you say?
And he's like, I said, it's been said that.
You're so random.
I do love whales and I do appreciate the time they spent on whales. And I do find it really interesting that whales like came from horses.
Oh,
Or
we talked
cows.
about
was
this.
interesting.
We talked about
Yeah,
this.
Kelly knew this.
That the way that whales evolved is they evolved from a hippo-like creature. So there's a hippo-like creature, and then some of the hippo. So first it was like fish
In the
right?
water.
fish beings, and then some of them came on land, and then they became mammals, and then some of those mammals went back in the water, but they were like lived in the water and lived on land like hippos, and then some of those stayed on land and became horses, and wolves and stuff, and then
And wolves?
just all mammals.
Just like horses and wolves.
And like my dad.
And like my dad.
23andMe says like I'm part.
who like I have a lot
I'm
of
part,
like,
like,
horse
problems
problems with
hippo wolf.
and because I have a lot of problems with my hippo wolf dad, I sleep with older men.
I wish in this book.
I do wish. You know what I wished? That Cleve was and I know we hated this in a different book, but I don't know why. But I wish he was like an undercover cop that was like older.
Well, we could have used that considering there's one sheriff in town and that sheriff was thrown from a cliff.
So broke his ankle.
Did Mrs. Nelson push this sheriff off the cliff
This
to
bitch is-
protect herself? Because that was another thing that they never
Yes.
got back to.
I think it's
She
implied
did.
that she did.
Yeah.
She's like army crawling across this cliff.
She's like, that's so funny.
Under barbed
It's the only way she could have done it.
Well, because fucking Cleve is revisiting his photography hobby, so he's set up his camera.
Looking at whales, and she just like
He's on a whale
comes in on twinkle
meditation.
toes. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
she's
like, isn't it crazy how like whales don't dress their children up?
He's not paying attention, and then she just like literally is like boop, and the sheriff just falls to his almost death, but he's fine.
He's fine. He like lands perfectly on one foot, and it shatters his ankle, and then he's like, "Ow!" and then just falls over.
And then like she says he's in a coma.
Oh my god, she
He broke his
gaslights.
ankle and
He's in a coma
now.
And she's like, and everyone in town thinks that Cleve is the one who did it. Anyway, you shouldn't have any friends, and you should only stay at the house. And she's like, "Wow, I don't know who to believe."
By the way, I put the phone bill in your name. Okay, so I'm going to be out of the house for a while.
Can we talk about the torture method that is locking a phone in a room that you can't get into and then it ringing for hours and hours every day?
I can't believe Becky follows her rule to that extent where she's like, well, she doesn't want me to answer the phones or talk to anyone, so I guess
It's
I'll
like, Becky, you haven't had
just
a
let it
paycheck
happen.
yet. Like, she hasn't seen any money. She hasn't talked to her parents. She's like writing them snail mail letters.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
what the fuck is she agreed to not be in contact with her fucking
It's because she
parents?
saved her little brother from a waiting pool, and she's paying that instance forward towards this child.
she got, like,
this
some
age.
kind of
We don't know how old
sick
Devin is.
high.
But
No.
She's like, one?
Devin varies in age. Sometimes he's 1 and sometimes he's 19. Sometimes he's like, my dad is around.
And then sometimes he's like, am I being breastfed? Maybe.
she's
Yeah.
like the baby, and it's like, is he 3 or a baby?
I couldn't tell because he could talk.
He was one.
Oh.
Because she says
I
he's going to
also-
be 2 next summer.
I took
at the end.
issue with Becky kind of mom shaming the mom before we knew she wasn't the mom.
Yeah.
It's kind of like layoff,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, she is depending very heavily on a 17-year-old. She's like, parenting. Can you instead of me?
Okay, fair point. Fair point.
I did.
It's like, why? But then she also like forgives her. She's like, I don't know, rich people do that.
Yeah.
What? Make up your mind.
Hey guys, wanted to take a quick break from the show to talk to you about one of our sponsors, Lending Club. No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, there's always one thing that's sticking in the back of your mind, and that is debt. If you're carrying revolving debt, that means you're not paying off your card every month, and you could be paying thousands in interest every year that you don't have to. And nothing feels better than getting your biz in order and paying off your debt. With Lending Club, you can consolidate your debt or pay off credit cards with one fixed monthly payment. Since 2007, Lending Club has helped millions of people regain control of their finances with affordable, fixed-rate personal loans. You know what that means? No trips to a bank, no high-interest credit cards, just a really easy process to get your affairs in order. Just go to lendingclub.com, tell them about yourself and how much you want to borrow, pick the terms that are right for you, and if you're approved, your loan is automatically deposited into your bank account in as little as a few days. Lending Club is the #1 peer-to-peer lending platform with over $35 billion in loans issued. So how do we get you guys on board with this? Simple. Go to lendingclub.com/teencreeps. Check your rate in minutes and borrow up to $40,000. That's lendingclub.com/teencreeps. 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 All loans made by WebBank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. And now back to the show.
Oh, I wanted to read
a passage.
the whale
Yeah.
thing. Where'd it go? Okay. So before she falls off the boat,
Yeah.
she just like has some random thoughts about whales. Killer whales, Becky thought. Would it be such a bad way to die, swallowed by a whale? It would be an innocent death, not like murder at all. If a whale swallowed me, it would be because I was food, not because he wanted me to die. And she goes, why am I thinking about death? Because of killer whales and falling sheriffs? Or because I'm on the ocean and I'm afraid of it?
Falling sheriffs.
There's two options, and it's like neither. It's like you're just a little wild.
You know, sometimes things pop into a person's head and you don't know why. But then she does fall off the boat and she says, out of the corner of her eye, she saw a whale coming toward her, mouth open. And despite what she thought earlier, being eaten by a whale seemed very personal. I'm like, Becky's funny.
No, Becky was
She's
funny.
weird, but she's funny.
When you saying that, I get the humor, but then I was like, Becky's dumb as trash.
No, also like the image
there
of
is
a whale.
humor to her being dumb as trash.
yeah.
The whale swimming towards her just with its mouth open like and her being like, oh no. You reading it with that inflection makes her funny. I will say that there were times when she's trying to be funny and it's like her little inner narrative. And I was like, Becky, you don't have to do this. So she was like, so it's when oh God, okay. She's pretty bad at thinking on her feet.
For sure.
So Cleve is like hanging out with her in the yard and he's like, what's that? And she's like, the baby. And he's like, what? And she's like, what? And then he like points and she's like, oh
my
the
God.
bear.
I actually loved this scene.
Really?
Yes.
When she's like, oh, it's a teddy bear. It's mine. And it's named Franklin. And that's the name of the dad. And I was like, don't do this. And he's like, huh, okay.
That was admittedly dumb, but at the
goes home and,
time
like,
I was
Googles
reading
everything.
it. Yeah. When I read that, I forgot that the dad's name was Franklin. And so I just thought she made up a name.
So then she's like, Franklin, and it's the dad's name. And then she goes, Cleve nodded. Me too, he said softly. He rambled a little. I think he's still on pain pills, but he sounded okay, talking with the sheriff. He
Yeah, I
grinned
was
again.
like, what?
And don't think I didn't notice your change of subject. I think it's kind of sweet that you brought your teddy bear. Becky punched him on the arm. You leave my teddy bear out of this, she ordered. If you tease me, I swear I'll tell him to beat you up. He's pretty ferocious. So I'd better watch out for Franklin, huh? You and me both, Becky thought. Only she wasn't watching out for a teddy bear, Franklin. She was watching out for the real deal. And I was like, Becky.
Wait,
She's so awkward.
what?
What?
That is not what my book says.
Wait, really?
Wait, really?
What
So I
page
have an
are you
updated
at?
version then. What does your
Wait,
book say?
So, okay, read that. Wait. Okay, maybe I'm
So
wrong.
Becky punched him on the arm.
Okay, Becky punched him on the arm.
You leave my teddy bear out of this.
Uh-huh.
She ordered. If you tease me, I swear I'll tell him to beat you up. He's pretty ferocious.
Right. So I'd
So
better watch out for Franklin, huh? I don't know. Let's just read it
Yeah.
all together, all
Okay.
three of us.
What page are you on?
On 88.
I'm so curious.
I'll find you guys.
So I'd better watch out
Oh.
for Franklin, huh?
I don't know about you, Becky thought, but I'm going to watch out for Franklin, and I don't mean the teddy bear.
She says that out loud. Oh, she
No,
thinks it.
she thinks it.
Oh man.
But that's different than
That is
yours,
different,
and it's not as
and-
insane and dumb.
And why?
Right?
No, I mean, yeah.
Yours sounds worse.
No, it's very like she's making a cute little joke to herself.
Wait, read yours again?
You and me both, Becky thought. Only she wasn't watching out for a teddy bear, Franklin. She was watching out for the real deal.
That is so much worse than our version.
So yours is updated and they made it worse?
Yeah.
on Earth.
Wow.
To me, I thought she was being really funny.
No. There's like a couple times when she's very
so
not funny.
Fucking weird.
I never found her funny, if that's
I
okay.
found her funny. I guess I was just reading it like she was me. And I'm so very funny.
Wait, can I wait, this is one of my favorite lines that actually I wrote haha in the margin. Chapter 17, Becky just found out that Mrs. Nelson was using her name like as an identity
shit, I forgot
theft.
about that.
So Becky goes, "You've been using my name," Becky said. "You've been going through my things," Mrs. Nelson said icily. Like, and then Becky's like, "It was an accident." As if like the going through your things is worse than you stealing my identity.
No, I know.
Crazy.
You stole my identity and rented this house under my name and bought a washer and dryer under my name. Also, when she buys, so when she finds the things, she finds out that her identity's been stolen by Mrs. Mother. She sees that there's $40-something thousand in her account.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Fucking run. Just go get your ass to the bank, pull all that money out, and run away. Like, you don't need any part of
But
this.
she literally does the opposite.
Yes.
She's like, "I'll stay. I'll believe the next lie you tell me.
Yeah.
And I still won't put in writing how much you owe me for this babysitting job."
She never.
We still have not agreed on an amount.
Because this could be a great opportunity for her to be like, while you're here, like, why don't we just talk about, like, just what am I getting paid exactly?
Yeah. What are the hours? What are my nights off?
Yeah.
Wait,
It's
you know what
crazy.
we never talked about?
What?
The whole, like, it kind of starts with this and ends with this. Jason and Sarah, I think, her best
Yeah.
friend. Like,
yeah.
which is, like, the whole genesis of her trust issues.
Uh-huh. I was guessing because the whole time, obviously, it's like nothing is right. So I was like, oh, maybe Becky killed Jason and Sarah.
Holy shit.
And Mrs. Nelson is actually her mom. And Devin is actually her little brother. And she has isolated Becky there and is hiding her from the police.
Nice.
That's
that would have been
hot.
amazing.
Yeah.
See,
Thank you.
I was also hoping for like a nothing is what she thinks it is sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like literally, because the fact that she's on.
Yeah, I thought maybe she was delusional.
You know what it is? It's like a Shutter Island kind of thing. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
she's like trapped on this island, and
Yeah.
like maybe there's like it's actually like this is her doctor, and like
That's what I was thinking.
that would have been
then-
amazing.
And I was like, oh, and if there was an even cooler twist, and I knew it wasn't going to be this, but I was like, that'd be cool. Devin is actually her kid with Jason. And she killed Jason and
Yes,
Sarah.
yes.
Or the kid is Jason and Sarah's, and she actually doesn't
She's
remember
Mrs.
that
Mother.
she's not 17. She's like in her 20s, but she's reverted to when she and Jason were dating. Anyway, I was making up a whole second
you know
while I was
makes
reading
that really
this book.
good. So she only ever talks to Mrs. Mother when she's in the living room, which has a full length mirror. We don't.
Yeah.
We just plant the seed about the full length mirror. Turns out she actually is the age of Mrs. Mother, but she thinks she's a teenager. She's just
Oh.
been talking to herself in the mirror.
She is Mrs.
She
Mother.
is Mrs. Mother. She stole the
just
baby.
got the chills.
Yeah.
Ooh, Cleve doesn't exist. Cleve is Jason. She's
Cleve is
remembering how
Jason.
she and Jason first were.
These are just memories. She's just walking around in the woods talking to fucking nobody.
This makes it really good.
Good book.
And the whales are a metaphor for her
Impending
the family she left
realization.
behind. Yeah.
She's about to be swallowed by her mind.
Yes. Ugh.
Yes.
That would be an amazing book.
I am so curious about what other shitty updates happened on the Condal.
Yeah, well,
That's so baffling
let me
because
look at
I
the
really
things I
did.
took pictures of.
I was reading everything in my head as though she was being funny.
Well, the thing that I was laughing about was like all of her expertise about babies. In this book, she's like, everybody knows that babies have their learning development happen mostly at like this age, and
Yeah, there was some of
yeah.
that.
So she like goes off on that for a while.
She goes, "He knows something's wrong," Becky whispered. "Babies always do."
Oh yeah.
Babies always
She
know.
had one expertise and it was babies.
Yeah, she really knew a lot about babies. She also bought. I just thought this was a funny detail. She buys a bunch of presents at the wharf or whatever. So she buys T-shirts for her brothers and a pair of graceful whale earrings for her mother.
I remember reading that being
what
like,
the fuck?
"Your mom's not gonna like those, babe."
I was like, those are ugly as fuck.
And they're definitely like shrinky dinks. Like someone like
Yeah.
drew them in and then microwaved them.
Yeah.
Like your mom is gonna be pissed you brought these.
I was picturing them as like little whales with a bunch of like little blue jewels in them, and her going, jewels are expensive. These are elegant.
Yeah, she's like, oh, these are so great. I feel
so
like
elegant.
She probably heard the word graceful from like the woman selling them, who was like, oh, well, this is a really nice graceful pair of whale earrings. And she's like, graceful. These will be great.
I'll take 4.
I'll take 4.
Oh, also, did you
I'd
enjoy
like 4 graceful whale earrings, please.
since you loved Cleve so much?
I did.
Did you enjoy when they
I
fought
loved
over
them
that chunk of
together.
bread?
Yes, I
Ew,
did.
I hated that. I honestly did. Gonna vomit.
I
I think I have been trained to expect so little from relationships in these books that I was like, there's genuine chemistry here.
No, first of all, they fought too much about that piece of bread. It was like trash bread.
It was longer than an explanation for the mystery of the story.
Really, I was just reading this as being far more charming than either of
It
you.
was a full chapter on this bread. So he's like, let me buy you some chowder. And she's like, what a date. So they like eat this chowder.
I had bookmarked it. So it's
Okay.
like somewhere in here.
Oh, Becky grabbed her windbreaker, and they headed towards the steep and winding path down the hill from Josephina's. That's where she had her iced tea. They stopped first at the boatyard where Cleve pointed out his own sailboat, the small, neat craft painted white with black trim. The next time you'll come, we'll take a moonlit sail, he promised. And if there's no wind, I happen to have a motor too.
God,
I
no
installed
wonder
it
you
myself.
hated Cleve if this is how he sounded in your head.
It's the best kind of sailboat, one that doesn't get stalled if there's no wind. Or maybe we'll do something else, Becky thought. They wandered through town, Cleve pointing out the historic buildings and the different shops. They did some late shopping, walked along the shore, and stopped at one of the little seaside restaurants that was set up almost as far up the hill as Josephina's. They ordered bowls of chowder and argued good-naturedly about the last piece of crusty bread that had come with it. You had 3 chunks and I only had 2, Cleve said. Since you have more, I should get the last one. Becky shook her head.
God, no wonder you hated this.
Wrong. You live here, so you get more bread anytime you want. And besides, I'm the guest and you're the host, and the host is always supposed to give in to the guest. That's polite.
I hate her.
Finally, grumbling, Cleve split the bread in 2, offering one piece to Becky. His eyes had a mischievous look. Put both pieces on the table, Becky demanded. I get to choose the one I want. What? That's not fair. Of course it is, Becky told him. One person divides. The other gets first choice. This is so long.
Yeah.
Well, you started way earlier in the passage.
What good does it do me to cut myself a big half? Cleve asked, reluctantly producing the other piece of bread. Becky pounced on it. None, she said, biting into it quickly. That's the whole point. Crime doesn't pay. And then Cleve's like, oh, fuck. And then just shuts down and she's like, ugh. And then she throws a wad of something on the table, runs away. Turns out it's a pacifier wrapped in a napkin.
It's pacifier.
But she's
She
like,
wrapped it in a
she
napkin.
thinks it's cash, and she doesn't doubt it's cash until she realizes later that it was 100% a pacifier, which is like, you
means-
don't have that discrepancy.
She wraps her money in napkins?
Right.
She was like, it was the closest paper-like feeling thing that I've ever felt. And I was like,
That I've ever felt.
I was just like,
If I was the waiter watching that interaction, I would just be like, we're closing. Please pay up. Because this is disgusting.
Look, all I'm saying is that this is the greatest love story ever told. And I don't know why.
Till now.
It's like we're reading wildly different books where exactly the same words were used.
the bread chunk thing, I didn't need it. I
I thought it was cute.
Also, she's like, you can get it whenever you want. It's like, no, he lives on an island. They have like limited resources. You live in Seattle. You can get bread whenever you want it. They probably have like 3 loaves they share among the islanders. Like, it's really not fair for her to say that.
he should have been like,
They're all
you're a
living
big city
in
girl.
one of those books where it's like a child gets lost from humanity and they have to like rate like Julie of the Wolves or Island of the Blue
Island of Blue
Dolphins.
Dolphins, yes.
They're all just figuring out the woods together. They have no
They all
actual like supplies coming from the mainland.
They all individually happened to be left behind by their like
Yes.
respective tribes. And they're like, what do we do?
I guess we form a new society.
We'll make 3 loaves of bread and we'll share them.
Can you imagine all the bread they have in Seattle?
She did have to walk through the woods at night by herself, which like, that's a, like, I'll just stay home.
Like she was like, it's
why
only
it's
2
7
miles.
every
And I was
night?
like, don't do this. Like she's like, it's only 2 miles and it's at night and I have a flashlight. I was like, you don't know the train.
Also, It was like 7 p.m. when she set out, and she was like, so I did some late night shopping. I was like, bullshit. Stores are going to close at 8. You're
We all
on an
know
island.
This is some fucking Catalina Island shit. This, like, everything is fucking closed
Yeah.
at 5:30. Also, the fact that she's traipsing around in the woods after dark, 2 miles in the dark, while Mrs. Mother is, like, rampaging around in the woods nearby, like, spying on her and shit. I'm like, don't be in the woods. This is not a safe place for you.
She has bad judgment.
She has very bad
like,
judgment.
and for Mrs. Mother to be like, I want you of all people. Oh, wait. The mother was like, and I got your name from a friend.
Yeah, that was
and the mother had this
crazy.
network of friends that we never really figured out what that was.
That was some
Oh,
Illuminati
yeah.
shit.
And that made like a little kernel of sense when it was supposed to be that she was running from her husband.
right.
So then how the fuck did she get Becky's name if that wasn't the case?
She
Becky
said it was
didn't
from a
answer
teacher.
An ad. She said it was from a teacher. Did she just like break into a school and find a
I'm
file?
The
sure
girl with
she
the
did.
worst grades and no
She's
common
dumb
sense.
enough to believe me.
Yeah.
Speaking of dumb,
Put gas bills in her name.
there was something that I was like, I cannot believe this is happening. So at the very end, Mrs. Mother is like, I'm leaving. First, she's like, I'm going to attack you with this like stick I found. And then she fights her off. And then Mrs. Mother's like, I'm going to climb down off of this cliff and I'm going to get on this boat that's waiting for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know that she's recently been like poisoned with gas, Becky,
And hit on the head
and
twice.
hit on the head twice. But the fact that she's just like, I'll heal
deserves-
from this. She won't. I'll let her go. I was like, no.
That was straight up crazy.
That was truly crazy.
I was like, you should stop this. This is very bad. She's a attempted murderer.
She goes, wait,
going
let
to
me
find you
find
again.
it.
She will find you, and she will find
She
Devin
will
again.
find Devin.
Again, for
Do you
sure.
not want to protect Devin? Keep her there.
She was like, so the reason she didn't decide to like keep her and get her arrested, she's just like, well, can anyone rescue someone from themselves? That's a straight up quote. She was just like, she's gonna have to live with herself. It's like, no, this woman's insane.
Yeah.
Like we need to put her behind bars.
She
She almost
will
blew you.
hurt people.
There was almost 2 homicides.
Yeah. It's like you and the dad, which I mean, we'll see on the chemistry, but you and the dad right now almost blown to bits in this house. Meanwhile, she's just, who is the person in the boat that's helping her? Who is that?
Yeah, that's some dark shit that I want answered.
I want to know about her
don't
network.
know.
I want to know about her like dark web network of like
It's her and a bunch of other divorced wives.
Divorce Wives Club.
This is actually the sequel to First Wives Club. It's called Divorce Wives Club, and they're all crazy and try to kill.
Trying to steal the children.
And then the payment for this was only $5,000, which in 1991, I'm sure that's a lot of money. But like, you saw how much money this woman had. She had
Yeah.
$42,000. She let her go.
And that's in 1991 money.
Yeah, she should have like 10 grand at least.
I could not believe that was the paltry sum that she was going to pay her.
Mm-hmm.
I was disgusted for everything. I mean, she should have just paid her everything. And then
The fact that she signed Becky's name on a check to Becky.
Like she can cash that? Like,
Yeah.
that's weird.
I guess.
can she? I mean,
She
I guess
should-
she can.
Well, just like go to the bank and make a withdrawal.
Yeah.
No one is
I could see
stopping
Becky
you.
being like, here's my check. I know you probably think it's weird. Let me tell you the whole story.
All right, so it all started when I didn't answer an ad and a woman randomly called me up and asked if I would watch her kid because she was on the run because someone was trying to kidnap him. And I thought, what a perfect opportunity to work on my tan.
It is.
They're like, please just take the money.
Yeah,
They're
take
like,
the money
you know,
and go.
we're-
Don't come
we're
back here.
closing.
Go.
We don't want to hear the story.
But it's 3 p.m. Yeah, the banks close at 3 p.m. now.
Well, first, let me tell you about an amusing story about a chunk of sourdough.
No, that-
So her and Cleve like definitely kind of fuck
Yeah.
at the end.
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
And I mean, he's at least for sure going to be fucking her at that dad's house. Sequel, does dad get involved?
Yeah, she's like, it's okay, all this happened. I got a job for next year.
Da-da-da-da.
She's like, he's
Freeze.
very rich. His house has a pool. I'll just be living there and I only have to work 12 hours a day or whatever it was.
Right? It's like, oh, you have normal work hours. You don't have like draconian, like English, Dickensian shit.
Yeah, workhouse. But also it's like super nice of him because she like is brain damaged now.
That's true. She inhaled a lot of
She's
that
literally
gas.
brain damaged.
Does that, like, I've left my stove on and we were all fine. So I don't know.
Here's
Well,
what
it depends
I think.
how long it had been.
Yeah,
which
I think
they don't
it's-
say.
You do every single one of the burners, right? And then she was bonked. So she
So
was like
took
probably
all
laying
of
there.
the knobs.
Yeah.
That was
That's fucked up.
good thinking,
I
Mrs.
was actually
Mother.
like, cool. Like,
think that
if
was-
she's bad, make her bad. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was good.
that was Mrs. Mother's best move because
it
her
was.
other
It was
moves
the smartest thing she ever did.
very bad.
Especially since at the end, it's like, so she had the presence of mind to turn on all of the burners, take the knobs, and then when Becky finds her later, she's sitting in the woods with dirt on her face, holding one of the dolls and singing a lullaby to it.
Okay,
I was
the
like,
doll-
what?
Yeah, the doll thing. So here's the
we
thing.
didn't get fully into the doll
So
thing
she brought her childhood dolls.
because they weren't smashed because she's crazy.
She brought them with her, kept them in the house, only to then destroy them and like leave them in Becky's room on the front door and put one in a hat box.
And just like break them up and slash at them.
Like destroy
Like,
them
with a knife.
There's the one that she puts in Becky's room. She like threw through the outside window to get into Becky's room.
Well, that's what Becky assumes, but that may not be what happened.
Yeah, it may not be.
Yeah, I think Becky's making a lot of assumptions.
Yeah,
At
she's
that
like, how
point-
can I explain this away?
When like literally, so she finds this fucked up doll in her room. It's like one of those like porcelain, like
Creepy Victorian dolls.
creepy Victorian
Yeah.
porcelain dolls. It's been like slashed with like a knife or something.
Yeah, so like in any other book, this doll would be evil.
Yes. She finds it in her room and literally says the line, "Huh, am I in danger?" I was like, yes,
Yes,
somebody was in your
Becky.
fucking room. You need to
You've
leave.
been in danger from day one. Even with the story you were fed, that was danger.
Yeah, that's the best part. It's like you had the clues not to sign up for this.
Yeah, the story you were told was that you were hiding a child from a kidnapper. There's no way that a 17-year-old should be involved.
I really like that one of Cleve's questions is like one of his like sneakily trying to get info from Becky is, so you're how old?
I know. She's like, "You're
"Oh, I'm
17?"
She's like, how old are you? 18. Yeah. So
He's like, "I just turned 18.
so
I just
like
turned
if
18."
you're 17 is a great age. Interesting. Like if you were to like, it's not legal for a 17-year-old to enter a contract because you're not, 'cause you're still a minor. So like, if you went into a contract, like it wouldn't be legally binding. She's like, I guess not. It's so weird that you're asking me.
I know. And also, he's like,
She's like, you asked the straight. You're so random.
This is why I thought he was an undercover cop that was older, because he's like, when I was 17, I was living in Denver. I was like, what year was that? Because he's like, the old days when I
he
was
said
17.
he was 18, and then the very next sentence, it sounded like he had to have been minimum 30.
Yeah, because he was like,
Like he
"Oh."
lived a decade somewhere else.
Exactly.
Yeah, because
Oh, that's my lost decade.
he was like, I when I was 17, I lived in Denver. I had lived there for 6 years actually, and I was like, what? And then he's like, I went to school there earlier before I was 17.
The only school here is an elementary school. Anyway, I have 2 uncles, and they share custody.
Yeah, he's like, I just sued for divorce from my.
And then at the end, he's like, actually, one of my uncles died. And it's like, well, it's not like you fed me a normal story and are now admitting to a weirder one. You fed me a weird story and then are admitting that that wasn't even the truth.
Also-
Neither version makes any sense.
He needs to teach her how to swim. He needs to teach her how to swim.
I never understand that.
I
So
think-
can you guys both swim?
Mhm.
Yes, I
Are
was
there
a junior lifeguard.
Oh, I'm impressed. Are there actually people who reach their teenage years who can't swim?
I think so.
I
Or
think
they
it's-
think they can't.
Yeah.
Well, then they deserve to die, is all I'm saying.
No, it's usually lower income people that don't have access to.
Why are you going to make me look like a monster after I make a joke?
But here's the thing: this girl is not, and
And one of her like laurels is that she saved her brother from drowning.
Yeah.
So if that's like something you're bragging about, you have to know how to
You
swim.
have
But
to,
she
you
also
have to.
keeps making the point that, like, well, it was from a wading pool. If it was a real pool, I never could have done it. And I was also like, why do you keep bringing this up?
I know.
Why do you keep
that
bringing
did
up
not
the
pay
fact?
off.
no,
I
it
thought she
didn't
was
pay off
going
at
to be
all.
swimming to Seattle from the island because of the way that she was like, I could never survive time in the water. And then she was like,
It's like,
she fell off the boat
turned out,
in her own accord
no.
and was rescued very.
Here's the thing that bugged me. So she's like, I don't know how to swim, right? And she's like, I thought back to a swimming class when my coach told me to take off my pants and blow them up with air so that I could float in a device.
It's like, that
I
coach
was
is
like,
not okay.
What class are you taking that teaches you that but not how to swim? Because
Also, like, I remembered how, like, the whole class had just left and it was just me in the locker room and my coach was telling me that I could
Yeah,
just
see, that's a
take
story
my
that I
pants
want
off.
to read.
I want to know. I want to know. I want to know. And that's the thing too. Like I like had to do a lot of swimming stuff when I was younger because my mom was like really scared that I wouldn't be a good swimmer. So I had to like learn a lot of swimming stuff. And the thing where you learn how to like blow up your clothes so that you don't drown is like after you already are very good at swimming. Like,
Well, it does seem like that should come first.
well, like imagine you do not know how to swim. They're like, okay, cool. Just like take off your pants in water and hope you don't fall like under the top of the water. Like you have to be a good treading water person to be able to like take off your pants. Cause otherwise you're just
okay.
gonna go
I see
down
what you're saying.
and then just be like, well, now
Here
I'm
I am.
underwater and I don't know how to get back up.
I've never heard this like blow up your clothes for
Yeah, I mean, I
a
was not
flotation
taught that.
device thing.
Yeah. One of our test things that we had to do is we had to wear like full clothes over
Were you like
our
an
swimsuits.
ocean lifeguard?
We had to do junior lifeguards for the ocean.
Crazy.
But I wasn't ever a lifeguard. I stopped doing it when I was like,
You never ran on
14
the
or
beach in slow motion.
we did run down the beach, but I
Well,
was
she did, but
very
it wasn't
ugly
part of
in
the job.
13. So it was very bad.
It's like, I don't want to be rescued by this tween.
It was, yeah, but it was like we had to do like buoy swims and like a lot of,
It was more like a learning thing, like
Yeah,
an
and-
internship.
yeah, I mean, like you learn how to like, basically like you learn how to get out of a rip current and you learn like, you just learn how to be a strong, confident swimmer in the ocean and you learn different types of sports.
Just learn how to be a
water
strong,
sports.
confident lady swimmer.
Yeah.
Who, like,
Okay, Brad.
knows what she
Yeah,
wants and goes
you,
after it.
you bloom into a
Strong,
a
confident
woman.
swimmer.
But
You know, when you go from being a lady to a woman,
When you use your boobs as buoys.
if you're lucky.
that never happened for me. But I did, and I definitely have shared this on the show before. But this is like one of my. If I have to tell an embarrassing story, I always tell this one, and it's where so the first part of the day was like drills, and then the second part was like you got to chill and like just like do whatever. And so we would get these paddle boards and paddle out past the break and just like bob up and down and just like talk. And I get very motion sick. And so we're like bobbing and I was like, oh fuck, I feel really sick. So I swim back up to the shore and I get back to where all our stuff is. And I'm just like sitting on a boogie board. And then I was just like, uh-oh. And I puke in the sand and then I bury it. And I'm just like, I don't know. No one will notice. My friend comes back and sits and digs her feet into the sand. And she's like, oh God, someone buried some cheese here. And I was like, yeah, they did. That's weird. And then I just never
Buried some cheese? Why was that her assumption? She's like, ew, somebody left some stray beach cheese here and buried it.
Beach cheese is what we call barf.
Yeah.
That's what surfers call
SoCal,
barf.
baby.
That's SoCal life. So I just like
Beach cheese.
I was just like, yeah, that's weird. And I was like, anyway, I'm going to go get some ice cream. And I
Or
just like left.
don't touch that.
I do remember that
I was just
story
like, you
now.
know what? You live your life. But that's nasty. I gotta go. And just like never to this day, I don't think she knows she
You're like,
stepped in my.
Katrina puked in the...
She was saying that her stomach was hurting. I don't know. You'd connect the dots. I gotta go.
My embarrassing swim anecdote that I've probably also told is just that I joined the swim team just to be around my friends because they joined the swim team. And I
Nice.
went to every practice, but I never competed.
Oh,
I just
Sorry.
went to the games and
So-
wore my little San Diego High swim team swimsuit.
so did you like do the drills and stuff?
Yeah.
And you just didn't compete.
Yeah. And the coach was totally fine with this because I was terrible.
Oh, it was your choice. It wasn't like
It was my choice.
Okay.
I was like, I don't want to compete. And she was like, great.
that works
that's
out for
great.
both of us.
Best of both
I
worlds.
just want to be around my friends and in a pool.
That's fun.
Jen and Jill and me, Lindsay. I don't swim and I don't wear pastel and I'm not blonde and my name doesn't start with a J. I'm Lindsay.
Wow. Yeah. So that part, I was like, I don't know what instance she's learning this survivalism from, but it definitely sounds like it was just a guy teaching her this.
Yeah.
She seems to be attracted to just random guys telling her shit.
Yes. She,
I
like,
know
when,
I would have been as a teen.
okay, when he's on the boat and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm lecturing. She's like, no, go on. I was like, no, don't.
It's like, this is the longest I've heard anyone lecture
The
since
whale.
Jason. Well, there's more whale facts.
I thought they were fish.
They're not.
Oh, God. And we do get,
They're
at
horses.
least in here, I don't know if in your book.
Seahorses.
Seahorses. In the Kindle version, I don't know if your guys' version has this. There is a part where he like starts kind of teaching about whales a bunch, and she's like, hold up. I know they're mammals. Do you?
Maybe.
There's a
I
part
don't
where she
remember.
kind of
I
does
took
that.
a little
Maybe I said that
marker off.
because I remembered it, but she's an idiot.
I'm not sure. I took the bookmark off of that passage so that I wouldn't try to talk about it again. But probably.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
she says that.
The whole thing was like, the moral of the story was really dark. It was kind
Yeah.
of like nihilistic, like, well, I can't do anything about that. And I don't know if I can ever trust again because Jason and my best friend screwed me over, but I guess I'll try with this random townie.
I know.
Like,
He is
that was it.
Yeah. And then she's like, you know what? I mean, there is no deserve. There is no should. There's just what is. And I guess I'm just going to go work at this like dad's house and I'll invite the townie to come with me. And he's never been off the island. So that's going to be weird.
And all I can hope for is that the dad teaches me more whale facts.
She's like, yeah, but what do you know about whales?
Whales.
I say, whales?
Whales?
I read in a book, and it turns out it's spelled with a W and an H.
I've never heard it said out loud. So those are the notes that I pretty much have on this. Are there any thoughts that you were like, this we must discuss?
I will say, so I did think that Becky was funny. I think I was reading her inner monologue a lot differently
It's like less annoying.
than you were. Yeah, and because it's very funny too, even if you do think she's being dumb. And I mean, it's an insane move to be like, this is probably money, and like throw it down on the table. I'm just going to read the part where she realizes that she threw a pacifier down. The second she felt the wad, she knew something was peculiar. So Cleve has given it back to her, and he's like, kind of like in a, your money's no good here. Oh, yeah. She's like, okay, thanks, I guess, not realizing that he opened it and was like, that's a pacifier. The second she felt the wad, she knew something was peculiar. I don't remember putting any money in a rubber band, she thought, pulling it out. Her face burned, and she dropped the napkin wrapped wad on her bed, not knowing whether to laugh
disgusting.
or cry. I can't believe I did that, she thought, pulling the rubber band off the napkin. Cleve had rewrapped the parcel carefully, making it look undisturbed. But he saw what it was, Becky thought. He wouldn't have sounded so amused if he hadn't looked. She remembered Devin dropping it on the floor at dinner the other night, remembered picking it up and idly folding it in a napkin so he wouldn't see it and want it back. She even remembered wrapping a rubber band around it. She did not remember putting it in her purse. She knew perfectly well that Devin had put it there. I can't believe I tried to pay for dinner with a pacifier, she thought, covering her face with her hands. Cleve must think I'm the strangest person he's ever run across.
He must think I'm like so random.
Whereas I think that like you guys were probably reading it like, she did not remember putting it in her purse. She knew perfectly well that Devin had put
even
it there.
as you read it, I was like, she's an idiot. And like,
I mean, it's insane to just, that whole moment is insane where just because he stops talking for a second, she goes, you're being weird. And she
literally
runs away.
fucking runs away. When like literally she could just be like, hey,
"Here,
what's
I'll
up?
pay for this pacifier. Run.
Like,
she has some issues.
Like a normal person would be like, oh, are you okay? But instead she's like, fine. I'll pay my own way. And then throws the pacifier on the table.
But when she realizes it's a pacifier, I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny.
No, I liked when she realized it because I liked that she was embarrassed. And so I thought that was relatable. And I did like this book overall. I just like there were a lot of things that I was like,
our standards are low at this point.
yeah. I did like this book. But
it was very fun to read for me.
it
Good.
felt like I was texting Lindsay about this. Like I felt like I was on vacation, like doing a beach read, just like reading this dumb book.
But
and
not an like
Here's the thing,
Jamaica.
not
You're-
Jamaica Beach.
No. I mean, like a
Pacific
cold,
Northwest.
The water's
windy,
cold.
full of rocks.
There's no sand. It's
There's
like
no
mostly
sand.
rocks.
It is rocks.
The locals are
rocky beach.
scary.
Yeah.
The locals are all wearing raincoats and are scary
There
and
is-
falling off cliffs.
One law enforcement officer. He's gone. Yeah. But yeah, I liked it.
It was definitely one of the stronger entries
Yeah.
of the podcast.
That's great.
Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
honored to have read it with you guys.
Aw, well, thank you so much
It's
for
so
coming
nice
on and
to have
doing
you.
the show.
Thank you for having me.
Do you have anything that you would like to plug?
My podcast, Listen to Done. It's like this podcast, except we just talk about things people are done with, and it's really fun.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and you don't have
lovely.
to read a book, so we're lazier than you guys. But
Well, most people are, and honestly, at this point, I wish that I could stop reading these books. Yes, I'm so very tired.
Well, guys, check out Done. It's also available on the Forever Dog Podcast Network. If you guys want to support our show, you can leave us a happy review on Apple Podcasts.
A happy one.
Happy, please. And if you want to get in on our fun Patreon perks, you can check us out on patreon.com/Teen Creeps. We've got book summaries, weird pictures of me from my childhood that we'll mail you, stickers, mini-sodes, outside genre episodes. What else?
It's just the warm, fuzzy feeling you get from, putting out energy from yourself for having taken energy from others, because money is just energy.
Yeah.
And the secret. And also, as we said, we pay our guests, and you help
Yeah.
to do that.
thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
You read a fucking book. We
I wish
respect
that's how
that.
school worked.
Guys, why don't you tweet at us how much you think we pay our guests? Please don't do that.
And if it's above what we do, then yeah, it's that amount.
It's that amount. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Next week, what are we reading, Lindsay? Do you know off the top of your head?
No. What are we reading next week? Child's Play?
Daughters of Eve
Oh,
by
shit.
our girl Lois Duncan.
Patrick Ellers will be joining
Patrick
us.
Ellers will be
our
joining
Low Dunk
us.
correspondent.
We've gotten a lot of requests for this
Yeah,
book,
this-
as in no one knows if it's feminist or not.
A constant debate.
So we'll be reading that. Thanks, guys, so much for tuning in, and we will chat with you next week.
Thank you again to our guest. Keep it creepy.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production. Executive produced by Kelly Nugent, Lindsay Katai, Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. For more original podcasts, please visit foreverdogpodcasts.com and subscribe to our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your